time, I wasn't quite sure what I'd find. Living life.
Hello, welcome to Album Deep Dive with Jason and Friends. And today we have our first three-way on Album Deep Dive. We have my sister from another mister, my favorite girl, Nicole. And we have
Hi.
my brother there. That's usually my Thursday night counterpart, Joe.
Hello.
Okay, so the three of us are getting together because the three of us have a big passion love for the Beatles. And today we are going to deep dive the Beatles album Let It Be. And there's the three of us together on Abbey Road.
I love it.
Yes, we all flew there just to take that picture for the show.
Spare no expense for this podcast.
Gotta love AI. All right. So I think the first thing, the Beatles, we all kind of know who they are, right? John, Paul, Ringo, and George, the famous rock band. This album, which I just think this is so awesome. It's considered the last album, but it was recorded before. It was recorded before the well. This was considered the last album, but before that was God Abbey Road, but Abbey Road was actually recorded last. So very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of things held this one up.
Yeah.
Yoko?
Many things.
Well, Yoko, it's good that you brought that up because Yoko was blamed for it. But as Joe and I had a conversation probably a week ago, we were talking about I don't know if you saw, Nicole, the Get Back on Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could see in the recording studio, they weren't really at odds.
No,
Yeah,
it was chill.
yeah. The Let It Be movie, that the one that we saw back in the day, they seem to focus and gather all the negative aspects and all the tension. Like that was the focal point of that movie. But when you saw other aspects, in the Peter Jackson thing, um, there was a lot of good moments that went along with it. I mean, the tension was there, but there was a lot of good things going on as well.
Yeah. Which one other thing I like to point out on this too is that it's Let It Be to me is the return of rock to them. Like they were doing very experimental stuff. Like you the White Album, the White Album. Don't mind playing Sergeant Pepper's Magical Mystery Tour. They were very psychedelic, weird type. Not your basic songs. This, like, they seemed like to say screw it and did a like bluesy rock record. And then I find it weird because they went right back to that old formula with Abbey Road with the 6 or 9 songs with the Sun King, Mr. Mustard, and all that weirdness. So it's weird to me. Like I don't like. It was so cool that they just said let's be a rock band, and that's it.
Yeah, I think beginning with Rubber Soul, which is an album that you and I had gone through before, up until through the White Album and all, it was all about the studio recordings. It wasn't so much about the band feeling. A lot of the Paul tunes were Paul tunes, John tunes were, it wasn't the same. And I think the concept of this project was to get back to the doing it the old way. And so with the camera crew and the documentary, it was going to culminate into a live performance at the end of this. And things just kind of went a different direction, and it ended up what it became.
Yeah. Does anybody know why they switched it from first to last? I mean, well, recorded, put it out instead of putting it out when it came out, they said scrap it and put out Abbey Road.
I feel like it was a rush job because you had them breaking up, so you either want to you know get it out there after they break up, which you might get that scramble for it, but
Yeah,
you kind of get like your favorite band's still together, then you want to buy it. So I feel like it was a rush. Also, probably in some contract if somebody left, you know what I mean? Like half the music or the royalties went to whoever was leaving. So that was also probably let us get our last grip of the money before they're gone.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say Apple was in kind of financial trouble at the time too. So yeah, I mean, it was a project they started. I think Paul had the heart. The others, maybe, John not so much. And it just didn't really come to fruition. And it was just they all kind of lost interest in it. So they moved on from the project, and you had all these tapes, and nothing was really ready for release. They had early version was Glenn Johns had put together the Get Back album, and none of the Beatles really felt it was what they wanted. So okay, we're not releasing that. And then go right down the line to the different track listings, and then the Phil Spector thing came into it at the end to try to salvage it. They just released the best of what they had to work with, and at that time, I don't think any of the four of the Beatles cared.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, too, but like you both were kind of saying too, like a lot of times bands have those contracts and they're obligated to release a certain amount of albums, so that, this might have had to come out. That's right. So was this the one album that maybe George Martin, I mean, I know George Martin worked on it initially, but I know the final producer's Phil Spector. So I guess this was really the first one that George Martin wasn't the final producer.
Yeah, I mean, when you look through the documentary footage, there were days George Martin was present, there were days he wasn't present. I think that wanting to go back to the roots thing, that George Martin was kind of doing those albums from Rubber Soul on, they didn't want all that production. And the extremely ironic thing was, in the end, through Phil Spector, you have like the notorious over producer, finishing up the project that wasn't intended to be.
Yeah,
It was intended to be raw. It's intended to be rock and roll.
I just like we were saying too, like here, kind of when you look it up, it says John Lennon was increasingly distanced during the sessions. Paul was trying to keep the band functioning. George Harrison was frustrated creatively, and Ringo was often a peacekeeper during the session, which I could see that.
Yeah, Ringo was the peacekeeper. The glue.
Important additional musicians was Billy Preston, electric piano. Let's see, helped reduce the tension. He appears on Get Back, Got a Feeling, Dig a Pony, and one after 909. And I mean, you can't say you can't bring up Billy Preston without saying the piano work he did on God for John Lennon's solo album was just incredible.
I love John Lennon's solo album a lot.
Yeah, yeah. The first two were insanely awesome. All right, is that another album three of us are gonna have to do?
I might have to.
Oh man!
But getting back to like Ringo and being the peacekeeper, and I think that's true during these sessions. But there's just so many ironic things about this release, and I think one of them being that at some point all four Beatles quit the Beatles, and Ringo was the first after the White Album session. He was the first one, like, I'm out of here. I didn't feel appreciated or whatever, and he had to be lured back. And then you have, of course, George, that his thing was during these sessions. At the end of '69, before the release of the album, John wanted his divorce, and they kept that private. And then, finally, Paul's the one that said, the Beatles are done. I quit, or whatever. How he released it with his solo album, pre-releasing his solo album, like just 3 weeks before Let It Be.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
And it was in his promotion for that he announced, this is the end of the Beatles.
Wow. Do you guys ever or ever saw the Beatles? It was VH1, I believe, did it. It was a fictional movie where John and Paul met one more time before he died in New York City, and they worked on a bunch of music for a weekend.
I didn't see it. I would love to see it. I would like to see that. Yeah.
It sounds familiar, and I probably did, because I think there's a. I think
it's like in the 90s.
The one with the guy, it was Chapman, who shot him, John. I think it was a documentary about him, and they were showing the parallels of what was going on in Chapman's life and then what was going on in John's. I'm pretty sure I saw it, but I don't know the name of it.
Well, there was also that the Chapman movie with Jared Leto.
Yes.
Plays him. That
was creepy and unsettling, super unsettling.
You ever see that, Joe?
No, I have not. You're giving me some homework to do.
Yeah,
I'm interested. Yeah, but
I think that's on Tubi for free.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. They return playing live, which is so awesome. I love when bands do that because they get so wrapped up in the production. Began January 1969. Filmed for a documentary, which again, if you guys have Disney Plus, it's available to watch. It's long too. Isn't it like 6-7 hours?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It has everything.
I watched it.
Plus the uncut footage.
Yes. More of the roof concert. Could you just imagine walking down the street watching the Beatles play? I mean, that's early morning rehearsals, cameras everywhere, tension exploding. Yeah, we all know that. Johnny.
Yeah, what were they, a week in Twickenham's before George's walkout? They were only there for about a week, maybe 8 days. And I mean, George had so much good material at this time. And the two tracks that are included, I mean, they're good tracks, for You Blue and I Mean Mine. But you think about like the solo album that George did, it was a double album, and the two tracks that I think are far superior than the ones that are on this album that he introduced and the others didn't pay much attention to. Isn't It a Pity? If you ever get a chance to hear the demo that he made during these sessions, I love it better than the album release version that he did on a solo album. And I just imagine if John and Paul and Ringo took the time on that song, what it would have sounded like. I just imagine that. And then All Things Must Pass. I mean, how can you overlook these songs, And
then even having, was it Something and Here Comes the Sun? And
yeah. And having heard what they did with those tracks as the Beatles makes me even more, wish I could have heard a completed Isn't It a Pity, by the Beatles.
You guys ever hear the song that Ringo did? It Doesn't Come Easy.
It Don't Come Easy.
The
Yeah.
80s?
Yeah. I think it was in the 70s, but I think it was George Harrison played on it, and I believe it really was a George song.
I believe he wrote it. Yeah, that and Photograph.
Yeah, so good.
And the Ringo album, the self-titled Ringo album, I believe is the only Beatles solo album that all four Beatles played on.
Oh, wow.
Not at the same time, but all four Beatles are on it.
Well, I did see an interview with John Lennon. I believe it was John or it was Paul, one or the other, that said they were very worried about him at that time because he really wasn't a songwriter like they were. And then when they were breaking up, they were worried about him financially, because he didn't have the royalties, which it's, it just shows you. And John used them for his solo album. So just
Yeah.
shows you the dedication they had. Let's see here. So yes, the concert, January 30th, 1969, performed on the Apple rooftop. I actually did when I was in England. I did get to go to the Apple studio. Everybody's writes their name on the wall when they got there, so I got to write my name on the wall.
Cool.
But I believe they paint over it after a certain amount of time. Songs played were "Get Back," "Don't Let Me Down," "I Got a Feeling," "One After 909," and "Dig a Pony." That was a perfect concert, and that was the last time they played together, like live, like in public.
Yeah, if I recall, didn't they close with "Get Back" a second time when the police are coming up? Is that
Yes,
the song they were playing? Yeah.
probably. Phil Spector original album was called "Get Back." Beatles rejected it multiple times. Spector was brought in by Lennon and Harrison and added strings, choruses, and orchestras. Makes you now wonder, because it was brought by Lennon and Harrison, that, I know Paul really directed the Beatles' Naked, Let It Be Naked, which is a stripped down version. And then let's see. Biggest controversy, Long and Windy Road. McCartney hated Spector's orchestra and wanted a simple piano ballad.
Yeah, more irony in this particular track for me. Yeah, I like the version that Phil Spector did with the orchestration, but I also like the piano version that I've heard on Let It Be Naked. But you know what? For wanting to go back, and if the concept was to be this rock and roll album, this roots rock and roll, why does Paul McCartney have two piano ballads? Now they're great songs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying The Long and Winding Road is not a great song, or Let It Be. I think Let It Be is needed to be on that album, even if it was Get Back and not Let It Be. But I'm not sure. For me, The Long and Winding Road and Let It Be on the same album, like I just feel like there was other tracks that like I mentioned the two by George Harrison that probably could have been, and then the Teddy Boy, which was later released on McCartney's first solo album, was in the original Get Back lineup, which is it's a pretty cool song. And then Don't Let Me Down was not included on the Let It Be. So I mean, there's a lot of irony just in the fact that if it's a rock and roll album, why isn't that John track on there, and Paul has the two piano ballads. I just find it a little bit ironic. And that was a big controversy, The Long and Winding Road.
Yes, yeah, it does say that. I could tell you they're great songs, they're written well and stuff like that, but they're like on the bottom of my list for Paul McCartney songs.
Yeah.
You're a Wings fan.
Well, no, I mean, like,
It's on the run.
I like some of them. So here's the thing with me with Paul is that I felt it took Paul, like John Lennon came running out on his solo album like a killer. I think it took Paul a long time to have a good solo album.
That's interesting. And I know that the McCartney album, the one that was released at the time, it did get a lot of backlash. He recorded it on a 4-track, and then you were talking about basic. Those were basic recordings, but I think there's a lot of strong songs on it, and there's some filler stuff too. But songs like Maybe I'm Amazed, I mean, I know is the one that everybody recognizes, but I enjoy a lot of that album, and Teddy Boy made it to that album. But some of the other stuff, and just the playing around and stuff, it's fun for me. I know it's not slick, it's not produced like some of the later stuff, and then you mentioned Wings, and I mean that stuff all has its place, but I still feel like this album is a collection of songs that I would have liked to see, maybe as a Beatles album, the same as All Things Must Pass. That album, there's so much material that if the Beatles worked on it together, would have. It's great, but I want to hear it as Beatles material.
I think Joe wanted a double album.
Yes.
He felt very unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
these tracks that were left on the table that were available to them at this time.
You know what? We should take him to the Apple studio and let him do the.
Well,
plug them into AI.
You technically, because I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to spill the beans, but Joe does have a cover version of the album. So you could have covered the other songs and done the Joe's version of Let It Be.
Yeah. I'll tell the story really quick about that. Me and two of my friends had just learned to play guitar, and we had no idea how to sing, no idea how to really play our instruments, and we decided we're going to recreate Let It Be. So I anticipated this. Okay. Here we are, right? That's me. It's Paul McCartney. And my two buddies is George and John. And we didn't have a Ringo, so we just used my buddy's dad. Said, hey, put this Ringo on, be Ringo. Okay. And it's terrible. I made a pact with my two friends, Kenny and Tom, that we would never let anybody else hear this. So, there is another version of Let It Be out there. It just hasn't been heard by anybody.
Jason, it sounds like we're going to have to be ninjas.
I want to hear it so bad.
You don't want to hear it. You don't. It's horrible.
Yeah, but Nicole, I gotta one day send you Joe's album, Johnny Pop Star and the Love Explosion, Day on the Beach. He'll go like, yeah, I'm not really a singer. I'm not, I'm just, not. It's so good. It's like one of those. We did the deep dive of the album. It's like every song is just like a killer. And I mean, some of them are covers, but like he brings them. Like actually, they're Japanese songs that he turned to English. Some of them, or partly English. It's incredible. So
wow,
I think it's going to be better than he's saying.
Well, thank you, but in this case, I can guarantee it's guarantee. Phil Spector couldn't even fix this.
Well, Phil Spector couldn't fix it. That man. Now that was a good documentary.
Yes.
With Al Pacino.
Dude's a mess. I love the Wall of Sound. I love the Ronettes. I love some of the some of the stuff that he did. Maybe not particularly this album. I don't. It is what it is. But something wrong there.
I think he peaked with Instant Karma. After that, what he did with John with Instant Karma, that was a killer song. And after that, I think he started.
Johnny Ramone tells a story when the Ramones brought him in. I think it was the album The End of the Century, working with Phil Spector, and they're doing these late night sessions, and it just wasn't happening. And they're trying to go home. He pulls a gun on them. Okay.
Little bit of foreshadowing.
We ain't done here yet. Oh, okay.
Talk about being in charge. Album was #1, United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Norway, Italy, and the Netherlands. US 4 million sold, over 4 million sold, which we know it's going to be a lot more than that. Very successful. Let It Be was #1 single in. Oh God, Let It Be. As we're talking about the two pianos, both were #1 singles in the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good songs. No, I'm not criticizing, that they're not good. And you know what? This album, and even Beatles not at their best, it's still great.
Oh yeah.
You get 80% of the Beatles, and it's still better than almost anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I mean, I have a lot of respect for this album. Grammy Award, but I didn't find out which award. I wish I did. And best original song.
Paul accepted the award. I saw a clip of Paul accepting the award. None of the other three were there.
What was that? Their first Grammy?
I don't know.
I don't even know when the Grammys started. Nicole, do you know when the Grammys started? You seem like the
Usually
guy.
I know. Hold. Let me fact check.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Nicole was fact checking. Um, that's usually Nicole knows all those hidden gems, things like that.
Yeah, I have a sponge mind, but this one I didn't. Okay. The first Grammy Awards were held May 4th, 1959.
59.
Uh huh.
Oh wow, I would have never known that.
Yeah.
I just stopped watching them after Metallica lost to Jethro Tull for best heavy metal album. I love Jethro Tull, but they're not heavy metal.
They put Let It Be won for best original score written for a motion picture or television special.
Oh,
And again, more irony. This was more like usually there's soundtrack albums to movies, but this is more of a movie track to an album.
uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right, let's deep dive it.
Diving.
Diving. Oh, and I'm going ahead of myself. And let's hit the music. Country type riff they got going on Two of Us. But do we bring up the very beginning? I Dig a Pygmy by Charles Hartway and the Death Aids, phase one, in which Doris gets her oats. What is that from? That's just
Get on that, Nicole. Fact check.
that's
Sounds
the
like a lot of nonsense. I mean, it sounds cool. I'm so used to hearing it, but I don't know what it's about.
yeah, and I believe that's cut off naked too. Off the cut that part's cut off.
Yeah. Naked does not include the banter, which I think is a really nice touch.
Yes.
Well, it says here that, see, fact checking. The two of us was face to face sharing the microphone, and it was an intimate moment meant to highlight their deep musical connection, even as the band was nearing its end. And I got the feeling from the song that it was like a goodbye to each other.
Uh-huh.
That's just my opinion. Like having that last moment together.
Yeah, well, you and I have memories that was it. You and I have memories longer than the road that stretches far ahead. I mean, that's just yeah. Let's give it a little more listen.
Riding nowhere, spending someone's hard-earned day.
I love this song. One of my favorite Beatles songs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is a good number where it shows the simplicity, the good harmonies, but the texture of the acoustic guitars. It's beautiful.
I
I
like
think
the
it.
crisp of it.
Yeah, it just shows you their musicianship. Here's a little more.
You and I have memories longer than the road that stretches.
Right. Yeah, I mean, good lyrics, good song, good vocals, decent drums.
Yeah.
I'm not a big, Ringo was such a great drummer.
He was the backbone. Yeah, absolutely.
All righty. I Dig a Pony.
You dig a pony?
Yep. Yes, I Dig a Pony. No, Dig a Pony. I love this song. I just don't know what Dig a Pony means.
Yeah, I mean, John was kind of like in this like avant-garde stage, and a lot of his lyrics had become kind of nonsensical. Sometimes they're beautifully poetic, and other times just like, well, what's he talking about?
Are you ready?
Yes, wait on us.
It was written for Yoko Ono. Song features a series of seemingly nonsensical phrases, culminating in the chorus, "All I want is you." It's expressing Lennon's feelings for Yoko.
Which became his purpose of writing lots and lots of songs.
Yeah, and then they also says, "I pick a moondog," that's in the
Uh-huh.
song, is a nod to Johnny and the Moondogs.
Johnny and the Moondogs, yeah.
Yeah. Here is Dig a Pony. So years ago, when I started getting into GarageBand, I bought iTunes sells karaoke versions of this. So I bought this song and I tried to record myself singing it. It was so bad that I don't even think I even kept it. I think I deleted it and said I'll never do it again.
I'm sure it's better than this.
Another fun fact, John hated this song.
Really?
He said
John was, yeah.
he was just having fun. He called it a piece of garbage, and it was literally a nonsense song. You just take words and stick them together, and you see if they have any meaning.
Yeah, and John was often self-deprecating about his work in the Beatles, his own voice. He didn't like the sound of his own voice, and he was critical of a lot of things that he did himself. I think there was a bit of insecurity in it. This is very nonsensical, in my opinion. A lot of the abstract writing that he did, though. And not in this case for me, but in a lot of the songs that were more abstract, he was painting imagery, even though the words might not be, a concrete thought. A lot of the lyrics that he would write would paint some kind of a picture in your mind. Like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and things like that. This one for me, not so much, but it is fun wordplay.
What Nicole read, I think is so important because, like, if you think about this, just what she said about, how he felt it was just words put together that had no meaning. If we didn't have this type of music back in 1969, would we have had Nirvana? That was Kurt Cobain's whole thing was the music, let the music be as great as it could be, and we'll just throw anything on there lyric wise. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, even as far back as Bob Dylan, though, throwing like, some of the Subterranean Homesick Blues, what is he singing about? So it can be fun, it can be fun. But you think about the John track that was left off this album. And for me, I would have, maybe swapped this out with "Don't Let Me Down."
Oh, I don't know because I love both.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool song, and even that little piece you played with the guitar and the bass, like doing a synchronized kind of thing. I mean, it's cool. I mean, nothing the Beatles ever did, I don't think, wasn't cool. I love it all, but just if you're coming down to making choices, my opinion.
I can't wait till we get down to the final, like when we get talk about Naked in this album. It's gonna be so much fun. Here's a little bit more. I love the harmonization in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they vibe so well.
Yes. Oof. Another one.
I love this song.
I have there's moments in my life where this was my favorite Beatles song or my favorite song off of the album.
I do like this song.
I look at this as perfection by him, but I will say Fiona Apple's version is not that bad. Have you ever heard that?
No, sometimes if a song is good enough, you can't ruin it.
Yeah. The only thing on lyric wise is that Gyra Guru Diva. A little weird, but hey.
Yeah,
That's the guru phase.
yeah.
That
The
was his
mystic
guru phase.
chanting. Yeah.
What does that mean, Nicole?
It means. Hold on.
I knew you were gonna want to know that.
Yeah,
I
and
always
she's
want to know everything.
Why Nicole's looking at that? Here we go.
this is another example of like wordplay, but in this it is poetic, and I am getting the imagery, of the more abstract words.
Yeah.
It is victory to the divine teacher,
Oh.
and it was meant to showcase the band's spiritual exploration and the influence of Eastern philosophy.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like the Hindu, transcendental phase, I suppose.
Was that that's like the Hare Krishna stuff, right?
Yeah, that like their Ravi Shankar phase.
Mm-hmm. In India during the White Album sessions, I believe. Was it 68 they had been to India? Something somewhere around then.
Yeah, because that's where they met Prudence, which was
Prudence.
She's a sister of somebody really famous, and I forgot. I forgot who
you
her
want to
sister
know
was.
some unique things?
What?
So this song, it did a cosmic milestone. NASA beamed the song directly into space. Right? Wait, gets better. There's some weird stuff in this. He wrote the song after he had a fight with Cynthia John. And he was laying in bed, and all he kept hearing in his head was words are flowing out like an endless rain into a paper cup. And he couldn't shake it. So he wrote it down, and that's how he wound up writing the song.
Wow.
Backup singers? Can you guess?
No.
There were two fans sitting outside. Paul McCartney wanted an extra background thing. He pulled the two girls in, and they're on it.
Oh, wow.
And they were named Lizzie Bravo and Galen Pease. And they were just there to catch a glimpse of the band.
That's insane.
See the stuff I find?
Yes. All right, here's a little taste of Across the Universe.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither wildly.
So I was probably 22, 23 years old, and I had a friend that was massively into the Hare Krishna movement and took me to a temple in Philadelphia.
Ooh.
And, I was there during the worship, and it really was a little too much for me to handle. No disrespect to the religion. I think one of the things for me is that I get very sick over incense, and they were filled with it. So I was really making me nauseous. It was so funny because Hare Krishnas, they're vegans, like vegetarians. So I wind up leaving because the smoke was too much for me. I wind up getting a Philly cheesesteak.
Well, you were in Philly. Was it Pat's or Geno's?
I don't remember. This is over 20 years ago.
Was it a chicken cheesesteak anyway?
Yeah, I think it. But yeah, I don't know how they did a retreat. I could have lasted a couple of minutes there, but it was one of those things. All right, here's a little bit more of it. It's just interesting sound of the music.
It's just so relaxing to me.
But the recording, it seems like it's filtered or something.
It feels like it's doing that that loop, how they layer the voice on top of other voices. That's what it sounded like to me with Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I just the guitar sounds like there's some kind of effect or something.
Yeah, there's some a little bit of an effect on it. Yeah.
You know, love it though. I mean, just incredible, incredible song. And let's get one last taste of it.
Nothing's gonna change my world.
That that part, nothing's going to change my world. I wonder if he felt so trapped at that point in his
You mean in his relationships or
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Beatles or
It's in his relationship, essentially, basically about Cynthia.
Hmm.
But boy, did he meet something that was going to change his world.
Yeah.
Somebody's up way past their bedtime.
All I remember about the story about her is like she had that art installation and he had to walk up the ladder to see the word.
Mm-hmm.
Like him and her were just like all his music and his writing is all art to me more than it is a wordsmith thing. Like I think he was like an artist, but he just couldn't express himself other than to write music, you know? Like I would wonder what he would be like if he was expanded himself a little.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, well, we did see him flourish with his two first solo albums, but then I think life really got a hold of him because I really feel Mind Games and Walls and Sound were not very good albums.
No.
You know, but we did get a taste of what he could do at the very end with Double Fantasy, which was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
that was.
I Me Mine. Good song. Joe, I know you love this song.
No, I like this song. I like it a lot. I don't think it's as strong as the other George tracks that could have been in the album, but I have no problem with it. I like the song quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it too. Let's listen to a little bit of this one. And it is track 4. I love how this thing just moves my tracks all over the place and makes it hard for me to find. I mean, right there at the very beginning, just the guitar just shows you the boy knew how to play some blues.
Yeah, definitely. What that was his like bass though, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Like his core. So it's probably what made him happy.
Yeah, I think he got
Yeah,
overshadowed. Like Paul and he's such a good guitar player, George Harrison, that I don't think he got the credit because of the other two.
Yeah, I think they I think him and Ringo got like kind of shafted with that because you had the two masterminds, and then you had the two. Like it's funny to me. It always made me feel like John and Paul, you know, you wouldn't have the band without them, but with George and Ringo, you wouldn't have the music to go with your sound. So that's what makes it so interesting about the Beatles. Because if you remove one, it changes the sound, it changes the depth. You know, so
absolutely.
that's why when I listen to it, it's like you need two and two to make to make that printed, like that
Yeah,
bass.
yeah. Obviously, there was this tremendous dynamic between Paul and John, but the Beatles sound is there's contributions from 4 members that create this one sound, and you put the Beatles on their own, you put 2 Beatles together on their solo albums, they worked on each other's albums but they never created that Beatles sound or the sound that they had when they were together. Now they were doing it for so long that they were trying to do different things, and there was that kind of boredom, I think, in working with the same people. But it just was something when the 4 parts came together, it became the Beatles, and you don't have it without 4 members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
Definitely.
another little sample of it.
The night, I'm in mine, I'm in mine, I'm in mine. Now the frightened are leaving.
It's funny in a sense that George, when he sings, he sounds very much like John.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
can hard on this one.
Yeah, you could have easily thought that was John if you didn't really know it that well. Let's give one more listen.
I need me mine. I need me mine.
What I love about that chorus part is that you can hear all of them. You know, hear Paul's voice, you hear John's voice, that's just so cool to hear. You know, the three of them scream, you know, singing loud, I mean mine. And that's awesome.
The best thing about them too, you can isolate their voices. Like even when you're listening to the remasters, to me sometimes the remasters you really get that. Like you could piece out whose melody is where.
Mhm.
And that's what I like about that too. Like, you know, you're picking, you know, I have a favorite Beatle. So I'm always listening for one Beatle and then that to listen to it, I'm like, oh no, that's Ringo. No, that's George. That's, you know, that's what I like about the Beatles so much.
Yeah.
Joe, is your copy first print? Your vinyl?
I don't know. I don't know what I got. I know that the red apple as opposed to the green one.
Mhm.
I don't know what print that would make it.
Gotcha. Yeah, mine is current, so mine is remastered, like Nicole brought up. I'm curious if it, you know, as I was like, you know, Nicole said, you know, remastered. So what like, a really original version would sound like,
Yeah.
you know, compared to remastered. All right, dig it. Enter done. Not much sense of anything.
Yeah, this was a much longer jam. I think it went on for like 10 minutes or so, and this was just edited down from a segment of a jam that they were doing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Let's listen to a little bit of it. And let's get the right one.
Like a rolling stone.
Yeah.
Like the FBI.
And the BBC and the BB King and the Doris Day. Gotta love it. I know this was taken off Naked, and you know, again, it was just a filler.
Yeah, I like it because it shows part of like the fun times. I mean, they're just kind of like in the studio doing, you know, just messing around and having a good time. And I think it brings that part of the, you know, the sessions into the album itself. So I like these little snippets like this.
Yeah. Here we go. Let It Be, the title track, which was, it's funny how both title tracks that were possible were both Paul songs.
Paul songs, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to hear something funny about this song?
Yeah.
I constantly always go, let her be, let her be, let her be, let her be.
I'm going to tell you how I first heard about the Beatles, and it what you just mentioned. I don't know how old I was. I was preschool age watching Sesame Street.
Yep.
And they had a segment on there. It was sponsored by the Letter B or whatever. And they had these puppets singing Letter B. And my mom comes in the room. She's laughing. She's like, oh, that's like the Beatles. I'm like, who are the Beatles? And I'm like, 4 years old or something. And she told me about the Beatles. And your sister left some records. And like, oh, now I know who the Beatles were. Thanks to Sesame Street and the Letter B.
Letter B.
That's cute. Yeah, for me, my father had like back in the 80s you had cassette players and he had a cassette case in his good car in his car and let it he always had let it be in there. So at a very very young age I used to pop that in and I fell in love with the album.
So, little fun facts.
Uh-huh.
Paul wrote it after a dream where his late mother Mary appeared to him offering comfort during a tough time. In the dream, she told him, "It's going to be okay, just let it be." This message inspired the song's lyrics with Mother Mary, and that was not referring, he was referring to his mom, not the actual Mother Mary.
Ah.
And then John decided to say that that it sounded more like a Paul song, and it would have done better if he did it with Wings.
I kind of like that.
These are, I told you, I find random things.
That's funny. All right. Let's listen to a little bit of it.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking.
You know what? Hearing the piano and stuff and him singing that right now, I would have to say, yeah, this could be easily have been a Wings song.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so identifiable as the title track of this album and the movie and everything. So there's such a connection, when you hear it to be, a Beatles song. But yeah, in the sound of the song itself, yeah, I could definitely see Wings doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And Elaine.
Yeah. Let's listen a little more.
Words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I'm with with Joe on that. Like, Long and Winding Road, Let It Be. Did you really need two piano ballads? Especially you got three great songwriters. I would have been happy. I mean, I like this song. It's a good song, but I don't let me down. I'd rather have that.
Two of you are
Agreed.
on this. Don't let me down.
Yeah,
it's a great song. That's a. I mean, it was a completed song. It wasn't even like they didn't finish. Like some of the George tracks, they just kind of like never got to. But this was one that was, Don't Let Me Down was one that it was album ready.
Yeah, played on the rooftop. All right, one more shot at Let It Be.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be.
There's that organ there with what's his name? God,
Billy Preston.
Billy Preston, yes, incredible organ, church organ.
Yeah, it gave you that churchy vibe.
Yeah, I think that's intentional and using the words Mother Mary, even though it was about his mother. It was, I believe, intended to give it kind of that choir, church song feeling, the Virgin Mary, the Mother Mary, his mother being Mary.
Oh yeah. Alrighty, we got another filler. Maggie May. I just it's funny when I hear this and again it's written by John and Paul, but it just gives me that like old fashioned Irish or English folk song.
Yeah, I thought it was a folk song. Are they credited as writers or the arrangement of it maybe?
Yeah, they're credited as writers. Let's take a listen while our production person there finds out.
I already have it.
Let's listen real quick.
Oh, dirty Maggie May, they have taken her head away, and she never walked down.
All right, Maggie Nicole.
Well, I think when I think of the name of the song, I'm like, Rod Stewart? What? So it was a traditional tune, folky.
Okay.
And he did John Lennon had a personal connection with the song because In 1979 he made a home recording of the song with just his vocals and an acoustic guitar, and they later released it on John Lennon's anthology box set.
Oh.
And then this is also the second shortest song in the Beatles official category. Only longer than Her Majesty, which clocks in at 23 seconds.
No. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a short. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like this song on the album and everything, but again, like Joe brings up, there's too much stuff that was really, really good to leave left off for something like this.
Yeah, I could have done without this on the album, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy these things. I like these little, fun things throughout the album. And in the Let It Be Naked, the Don't Let Me Down is included, correct?
Yes.
And these little segments are taken out, maybe for time, but I would have liked to seen both, or maybe another song replaced.
Well, you know what I like about this song is that I do have again, I'm part Irish, so I just love running around to these Celtic festivals, and a lot of the performers sing songs like this, so I do like it in that sense, because I love sitting at Celtic festivals and listen to like old Irish folk music.
Cool.
It's the part of Liverpool. Did it turn me to £2.10 a week?
And that being said too, like I said, I've spent a lot of time in the UK, and it is really cool to be in the UK at a bar and where traditional English people are singing, these types of songs. It is an experience, very awesome experience. All right. Ooh. Let's listen to this right now. Start it off.
I've got a feeling deep inside, oh yeah.
I love the guitar riff. I love the very beginning. I could be wrong, but I do believe it was two songs.
Yeah.
One John, one Paul, and put together.
Yep.
Yeah.
One is I've Got a Feeling, and John Lennon's was Everybody Has Had a Hard Year.
Yep.
Yeah, it has a good energy to it. It feels like this is one of the moments where they were really into what they were doing, and there's passion behind it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and this just shows you when you have two really good songwriters, and you can take one part of one person's song, put another part, and mishmash it, get it together. It's so much fun, and I even know that from personal experience with writing with your cousin's wife. I would come up with a part, bring that to her, and then she would add some crazy part or music she had for something to my words. And it's so cool when you could do something like that, when one person could be writing something in one part of the town, completely having a whole different direction, and then bring it to somebody else and they turn it around to something crazy. I love it. Love that.
Well, also too with this song,
Uh-huh.
in 2022, Paul McCartney performed I Got a Feeling live as a virtual duet with John Lennon, and he only used the isolated vocals from the original recording, so he got to sing alongside John during his Got Back.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's really cool.
I need to see that.
Yeah,
I do too. That's on YouTube, I hope.
We got to find
probably.
it. I'll
Probably.
go mining.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up probably tonight, because I don't sleep anymore. Here's a little more of Got a Feeling.
Oh no.
Paul kind of started that little bit of that angry screaming there in this end of the 70s, huh?
He was getting a little Yoko, Can't beat him, join him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a nice reverb on the vocal effect, which is real conducive to this, and what he's doing with the vocalization.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think here the final part of this song is the John part. Let's take a listen.
Everybody had a hard year. Everybody had a good time. Everybody had a wet dream.
I mean, there's no lie. I'm never going to deny it that John is my favorite Beatle. So obviously, his part of the song is my favorite part. I really would have loved to have heard whatever he was working on for that song,
Mm.
which I don't know, could be on an anthology, huh? Maybe. Yes, no?
I don't know. I have anthologies at Pop's house. He won't let me have it back. My dad has. My dad was stationed in Germany,
Uh-huh.
and my dad has all the original Beatles albums released in Germany because they were there before they came to the States.
Oh, cool.
So I
Wow.
keep telling him, like, where are they? He's like, they're
Wow.
somewhere. I can't find them.
Including Let It Be.
He has everything from Germany.
Yeah, most other countries, when the packaging of Let It Be came with a big book and all, but the U.S. version just came, all right, a little fold out thing, and that was it.
Yeah, I haven't physically seen them. He says they're in the house somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder if the German version had the book that went inside the box.
I'll have to look. I'll have to really dig out his stuff.
That'd be cool.
How long has he lived there?
Did he live in Germany?
No, in that house now.
Oh, well, 49 years.
Oof, yeah, I have some digging around to do. Oof,
Definitely.
49 years. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man, that's a long time to live in a house. Like the most I've ever lived in a house, I think was 10 years.
No.
Well, Joe,
we
you've been
lived
in
there when I was 1.
Yeah, and Joe, you've been in your house your whole life?
My whole life, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm such a what do you call that? A vagabond or whatever, a gypsy, whatever. I come all over the place.
Nomadic.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay, so we can open this back up discussion here on songs that were left off the album because this song could be replaced with any of those songs in my mind.
No. This is the whole point of Get Back. They're getting back to rock and roll. They're getting back to one of their tunes that they used to play back at the Cavern Club. This is the second time go around for this song with them. This was their beginning, their roots.
Don't let me down.
Okay, a great song, but there's so many other things that could be removed. Not this. I feel this is kind of like the heart of what they intended these Get Back sessions to be.
Mm.
Have you ever heard the original version that they did? I think it's on one of the anthologies.
Yeah, and I definitely had listened to the anthologies when they came out, and I probably only gave it 1 or 2 listens, so it's so long. So I really do have to hit them again.
It's a little different arrangement, but yeah, it's still rocking. Yeah.
Let's let the listeners hear some of it. I get a little, like you said, some good old fashioned rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
I feel Elvis-y.
Yes.
Feeling a little Elvis.
Well,
And,
as Joe brought up, it is a very early Beatles song, so probably was written in the Elvis, close to the Elvis area.
Yeah, they did Elvis covers. They loved that kind of 50s rock. When they got together, they were teenagers. So by the time they got over to doing stuff in Germany and playing all these live shows, this was one of their staples.
Hmm.
And for this album, Paul, who had been on all those like studio psychedelic albums from Rubber Soul on through the White Album, was mostly using the Rickenbacker bass, and he went back to using his Hofner bass, mostly a 63 Hofner, but he also used a 61 model that he had played live back then. For most of these tracks for these sessions, like when you see the Rooftop concert, he's using the Hofner. He's not using the Rickenbacker.
Ah, true musician there. I would have never picked that up. That's good. That's a good eye, Joe. Good eye. All right, let's listen a little more.
Come on, baby, don't be go tonight. Set the travel on the one after 909. I'll take the not to go in the...
Yeah, I mean, I could, you could see it was definitely, a song that they wrote in their prime.
Are you
Yeah.
ready for your fun facts?
Oh, yes.
So, John Lennon is obsessed with what number?
9.
Correct. So, he was born on October 9th, lived at 9 Newcastle, and even wrote songs like Revolution 9 and Number 9 Dream. So he always had a fascination with the number. Some of his songs always have a 9 in it.
Number 9. Number 9.
And
Wow.
then, let's see. Paul McCartney loved the song. He considered it one of his personal favorites. And he fondly recalled writing it with John. So it had a special feel to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel there's definitely nostalgia in this for them, and to what their intention was on these sessions. I mean, this is what it was all about, and I feel like you hear the fun that they're having in this recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's like a lot of stuff melted away. Let's have a good time.
don't let me down.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm all about don't let me down. Yeah.
That's the theme of tonight.
Do you feel let down? I mean, I feel a little let down. That don't let me down was.
Yeah. One of my favorite Beatles songs. I mean, thank God they did release it as a single. Here's a little bit more. 909. Once we hit that part. Yep. Oh, that was a little jam part. Very, again, to me, it's more of a music song than it is a lyric song, but that could be easily argued because it has a lot of lyrics.
It's my usual bop.
Yeah. Oof. This is one that could be taken off.
You would eliminate half the album.
Yeah, but there was plenty to put on here. No, I don't feel that this album was Paul's strong points. Like I think the songs on here from John are very strong. These songs that Paul brought, I think were very good songs. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great songs. But I just, when I go to search other Beatles, like other Paul McCartney songs, I like the other ones from other albums where John Lennon's songs, some of my favorite songs for him are the ones that are on this album. Don't let me down.
There's some scandal with this song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So, Paul wrote this as a song that he imagined being performed by Ray Charles.
Really?
Yeah. And then the song, they believe the title is the actual road by the BB-42, a winding route near his property. Phil Spector added the orchestral overdubs without consulting Paul. which then caused huge tension, and he cited them as one of the reasons for the Beatles breakup.
Hmm. So let me guess here. They didn't go to Ray Charles because he just couldn't see doing it.
Couldn't see doing it now.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Yeah.
I had to. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Was so
And,
wrong.
yeah.
And
I know this.
It was also their final #1 hit.
Oh,
Yeah, and I know
You
this
can
was
imagine that.
the song that Paul had the biggest problem with. I mean, there was an earlier version, the Glenn Johns version. He has a great quote that he said to Rolling Stone. He said, "My version of Let It Be was also released before Phil Spector puked all over it." And I hope you quote me on that. If you hear The Long and Winding Road without all that schlock on it, it's fabulous, just like it is. Glenn Johns quote, before Phil Spector puked all over it.
I love John. I can't help it. The man just fine.
Oh man, here's some of the puke right now.
Bring it on.
And winding road
Yeah, it's so true because when you hear when the breakdown there, or when you hear the orchestra, when you listen to the naked version, I do like the sound of the music versus the orchestra.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a strong preference one way or the other. I like both. And for this particular tune, I mean, I think it lends well to this orchestration. It wasn't what their intention was for this album, which is, again, I just find so much irony in so many things about these sessions. But I mean, for the song itself, I'm okay with it, with the orchestra. I mean, they used a lot of that for a lot of other songs. George Martin would have done something like this. It's a little excessive, but you brought in Phil Spector. What do you expect?
I like orchestra in all my music.
Yeah.
I love strings and orchestra and music, especially when it's not meant to be in a string or orchestra moment.
I did forget, and crazy me, I forgot. I got wrapped up and forgot two of the last songs, so we're just going to talk about them.
That's all right.
Next one is For You Blue. Listen to it right here. I loved, again, that guitar riff in the very beginning. It's just, George is such a good guitar player.
Yeah, the acoustic, it is really cool. And then you bring in that, the steel or the slide thing. I think John was playing,
Oh, wow.
With a lighter.
Oh, and here it is.
He used a cigarette lighter as a slide.
Let's hear it.
'Cause you're sweet and lovely, girl. I love you.
That's cool to hear that. That's a lighter. Another
Also,
great.
It's written for Patty Boyd too. George Harrison's wife.
Oh. Isn't this about the time she went off with Eric Clapton?
Was that when he wrote Cocaine? Oh man, here's a little more for Blue. For You Blue. I'm sorry.
I want you in the morning.
Oh, there we go. Maybe not. Technical difficulties.
Morning, girl. I love you.
Little Billy Preston piano there. Do. All right. And then, of course, the song that should have been the album title, Get Back. Here we go. again, hearing, get back, it's just like we were saying, like, did we really need two piano ballads?
Yeah, this is a track where I think all four members shine. I mean, Ringo doing that, little thing that he's doing. Ringo is really strong in this song. That you got John on lead guitar as opposed to George usually is the lead, but you got this really cool rhythm thing that's driving it through the whole thing, and then you got Paul with the Hofner. Lyrically, I don't know. It's imagery. Again, it's not really, it's a little abstract lyrically, but I mean, they're just rocking out, and the rooftop performance, it's just incredible.
Uh-huh.
I just like how they never lost their head bops.
You can't not bob your head to this, though.
You just think Night at the Roxbury. They were the Beatles.
Yeah. Try not to bob your head. I don't think you can.
You could do that. Bop, boop. Here we go.
Get back to where you once belonged. Get back, JoJo.
Yeah, I just love that. So that was, get sorry, I should say Get Back. Let It Be, the album, all 12 tracks. Then of course we have Let It Be Naked, which we're not going to get into because we're not going to turn this into a 2-hour show. But Let It Be Naked opens up with Get Back, where it ends it in Let It Be, which is interesting.
And this album, Jason, did not let you down, did it?
No.
No.
It did not. And you know why? Because
I know why.
Don't let me down. Don't let me.
it had Don't Let Me Down. Get Back, Dig a Pony, For You Blue, Long and Winding Road, Two of Us, Got a Feeling, One After 909, Don't Let Me Down, I Me My, Cross Universe, and Let It Be.
Do you have a clip of the bridge part of Don't Let Me Down? There's a really cool part where again, it's the bass and the guitar doing a synchronized kind of thing over the bridge.
Let me see what we got in store here.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
I might.
Yeah, like I'm in love for the first time part. Yeah.
Yep, I believe that's it. But we had to talk for a couple of minutes before I can play another 7 seconds.
Okay, because I love that little.
The Beatles will come
piece.
for you. Oh wait,
Yes.
no wait. Michael Jackson would come for you.
Universal would sue me and shut my channel down.
I still think that's sad.
Does. Yes, she does.
You couldn't sell it back to Michael Jackson. You had enough money.
Unfortunately, Joe, I don't have that one. Because the way that I run the show is I pre-pick the samples. I don't have the whole track with me.
That's okay. People know the song. Who if they're watching this long, they know the tracks.
Yeah, because it's so crazy. This application that I use to do the show, you can't fast forward or rewind a song. You can only play it. So to get snippets of it, I got to go in there and pull them out myself and put them in GarageBand, and such a pain. But I love my show, so. All right, so none of us made the tour because there was no tour. None of us saw the Beatles because we were not born last tour. So we're not going to be talking about it, but we will talk about, they have the, whatchamacallit, they have the Beatles, the Disney movies back. It's worth definitely seeing. Obviously, you have 2 versions of the album. And so we're going to get down to the final questions here, which I love to do at Album Deep Dive. And this time we're going to mix it up a little bit because we're going to have probably 3 questions instead of 2 questions. First question, and Nicole, you can go first. Let It Be or Let It Be Naked?
Okay. I, I like Let It Be Naked because it's more stripped down.
The whole reason why it's called Naked.
Just the purity of it,
Yeah.
it's not overly done. It's just here it is. And Don't Let Me Down.
And Joe, let
Can
it
I
be.
can I go with can I go with the third choice and do the Get Back, the Glenn Johns version?
Oh, I thought you were going to say your version.
Oh, it's the best version that nobody's heard.
So the Get Back version is your version. Okay, I will take
I
that.
don't know. I kind of like having. I don't know. They all have aspects that I like, and I would like to listen to all three.
Maybe that's what we just do an online party one day and listen to all three together. We can't air that though because they can't even. You can't even play it and talk. YouTube still won't accept that. You have to cut it after 7 to 10 seconds.
Wow.
I think I'm going to confuse both on this one. I'm going to go with Let It Be because it's what I grew up on and known my whole life. Let It Be Naked much later, but Let It Be would have been much better if Don't Let Me Down was on it.
I like that answer.
But the original really touches my heart, and I just, my father was a guitar player, singer. He played music, he played Beatles, so I just grew up listening to it. I couldn't even imagine. I listened to Naked, a good amount of times, but I never listened to it as much as I listened to the original version.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said, for what you were introduced to first. This is what you knew it as.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Favorite track. Nicole, ladies first.
Across the Universe.
Across the Universe. Mr. Joe.
I like the performance of Get Back. I a lot of great moments, but I think that really sums up the feel of this, at least the intention of what it was going to be, and I think it succeeded in that.
All right, if we're talking Let It Be, I'm going to go probably with Dig a Pony. I love the nonsense lyrics. I love the guitar. I love, the way he sings it. And to Let It Be Naked, Don't Let Me Down.
You would have let me down if you picked another song off that one.
Well, if you're going to take the whole entire recording together, the recording process together, Don't Let Me Down 100%.
Yeah.
Your world of Beatles albums.
What is my favorite Beatles album?
Where does it rank in your Beatles albums? Is it your top one, second, third, fourth?
Oh man, see, I like some of the older stuff that came out after they broke up. Like I love the Beatles' Love. That album that the Circus Soleil did. If you guys ever get a chance to listen to it, is phenomenal. It's heavy, but I'm not really a fan of this album as much as I like the earlier. Because I have my number one favorite album from the Beatles. Sgt. Pepper is my favorite. So I always, everything after Sgt. Pepper's, I could just live with Sgt. Pepper.
Okay. Mr. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there aren't Beatles albums that are so far above or below the rest of the pack. I mean, because I love the entire library of the Beatles. I would not rank this as my top section of Beatles, but I mean, it's solid. For me, this era was my introduction to the Beatles with hair. I had known like the early Beatles when I was a kid, because that's a lot of the records my sister had left here. When MTV was doing a Beatles party weekend or a Beatles party weekend with Downtown Julie Brown, they were showing videos from the movies. So there's a lot of Hard Day's Night clips, but when they got to the tracks from Let It Be, it's like, man, this is a different look. I haven't seen the Beatles like this. I haven't heard the Beatles like this. So it was kind of my introduction to the later Beatles, and it's kind of got a great nostalgia for me.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna definitely maybe blow your both mind on this one. This would be my number one out of all the Beatles albums, and why we did this one, because it is my favorite. It's very tied with, which again is a very unpopular one. I would say my top two favorite Beatles albums are Let It Be and Magic Mystery Tour.
Interesting choices, but you can't be wrong with any Beatles album you choose. They're all good.
No, I don't find anything like, some of the Beatles albums, some songs you could deal without, but I'm not skipping them. I'm listening to them.
Like the second and third album, like was it Meet the Beatles and Love for Sale or Love
for Sale, Beatles for Sale.
Yeah, Beatles for Sale. Yeah, I could, those two albums, I barely like any tracks off of, just a couple of them. But once you got to Rubber Soul and on, I felt like everything was flawless. Like it was perfect. But the first album was fantastic. I love it.
Here's more irony in your loving this album the best, but not liking the beginning albums. You like from Rubber Soul on the psychedelic, the more produced stuff, and this was ironically the stripped down back to roots, which is the area you're not so crazy about. More irony.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a big fan of like early 60s rock. I liked the folk stuff, like the Mamas and the Papas and
nice. Yeah.
That stuff. But I didn't really, like I thought the Stones got better and the Beatles got better as they went on. Well, thank you both it's so nice to have my two co-hosts that do almost all my shows with me on together.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's
great.
We'll have to do this again. And I really enjoyed having you both on at the same time. So thank you very much for your time. I was about to say, Nicole, thank you for 2 shows today, but the other one was with your husband.
Oh, yeah.
But, you did the other one yesterday. All right, everyone. If you haven't heard the Beatles, which I highly doubt it, unless if you're a young person watching it for the first time, check out both versions. You can stream. You can't stream, I don't think, Let It Be naked.
Let me see.
Yeah, but I know you can do Let It Be. I'm sure you can buy it stream-wise. But definitely check it out. Like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to hear something, an album, put it in the title.
FYI,
put it in the comments. Yes.
It's on Spotify.
On Spotify.
Yep.
Leave it in the comments that album, and if you want both Nicole and Joe back on the same time, put that in your comments, because we'll make them be on there together. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
There's a girl you'll fall in love with sooner